What if the world's biggest passenger plane was designed for a market that would never want it? In 2001, Airbus bet $25 billion that American carriers would desperately need the A380 Super Jumbo. They were dead wrong. Not a single major U.S. carrier bought one. Not American, not Delta, not United, zero orders. By 2019, the entire program was dead. But here's what makes this absolutely insane. These same airlines that refused the A380 were ordering planes like crazy, over 1,400 new aircraft in just 10 years. So what did American Airlines see that Airbus completely missed? To understand how spectacularly Airbus miscalculated, you need to grasp just how massive American carriers really are. American Airlines runs 6,800 flights every single day. That's basically one plane taking off every 13 seconds around the clock. Delta handles about 5,400 daily flights. United runs roughly 4,500. Put it all together, and these three carriers alone are moving over 16,000 flights daily across the globe. Meanwhile, Emirates, the airline that basically bet the house on the A380, operates about 500 flights per day total, and they own 123 A380s, more than anybody else in the world. The big three U.S. carriers combined move more than 30 times the daily flights of Emirates. Yet Emirates is flying more A380s than everyone else on the planet combined. It's not like American Airlines couldn't afford big planes. These are some of the largest, most profitable carriers on Earth. They looked at what was supposed to be the future of flying and said thanks, but no thanks. The numbers get even weirder when you dig into the details. Between 2005 and 2015, U.S. airlines ordered over 1,400 new aircraft. Boeing 737s, Airbus A320s, Boeing 787s, Airbus A350s. They bought everything except that one plane Airbus was most proud of. Here's something most people don't know. American Airlines didn't just casually blow off the A380, they actually flew to France to check it out. In 2004, executives from American, Delta, and United made the trip to Toulouse for private demonstrations. Airbus rolled out the red carpet. They showed off detailed mock-ups, ran comprehensive market projections, offered incredibly sweet launch customer deals. On paper, the A380 looked fantastic. Double-decker seating for up to 850 passengers. Range to fly anywhere in the world. Fuel efficiency per passenger that beats anything else in the sky. But then, the moment American Airlines ran their own market projections using real US route data, the numbers just didn't add up. The Americans asked all the tough questions that Airbus apparently hadn't fully considered. How many gates at our hub airports would need major renovations to handle this monster? What's the realistic turnaround time with 850 passengers boarding and deplaning? How do you consistently fill 850 seats on routes where demand fluctuates wildly? Then something really interesting happened. All three airlines walked away from those meetings and immediately started buying completely different planes. American ordered 42 Boeing 787s. Delta bought 25 Airbus A350s. United also went with 35 Dreamliners. These weren't small orders placed years later. These were massive commitments made within months of rejecting the A380. What exactly did they see that made them sprint towards smaller, twin-engine planes instead? Here's how American Airlines really think about new routes. Pick a city like, let's say, Kansas City, about 2 million people in the metro area, solid airport with decent connections, not massive, not tiny, just perfectly middle America, representative of dozens of similar cities across the country. The question becomes, can you fill a plane from Kansas City to wherever you're trying to go? For the A380, with its typical 525-seat configuration, or up to 850 in all economy, the answer was almost always no. Kansas City to London, you might scrape together 100 passengers on a good day. To fill an A380, you'd need passengers from Kansas City plus St. Louis plus Indianapolis plus Nashville plus maybe Milwaukee, all getting funneled through Chicago or New York first. But here's what American Airlines figured out. Those same 100 folks from Kansas City would rather pay an extra 50 or even $100 for a direct flight on a smaller plane than save money but deal with connections and layovers. The A380 basically forced airlines back into the old hub-and-spoke game. Smaller, wide-body planes like the 787 made it economically viable to offer what American passengers really wanted: direct flights from wherever they lived to wherever they wanted to go. Now you might be wondering how a 787 would even be allowed to fly from Kansas City to London. That's over 4,000 miles of mostly empty Atlantic Ocean. This is where aviation regulations changed everything. Back in 1985, if you wanted to cross an ocean, you basically needed 4 engines. The rule was simple. Commercial aircraft had to stay within 60 minutes flying time of an airport in case something went wrong. This rule is why the Boeing 747 dominated long-haul international flying for decades. But jet engines became incredibly reliable. Modern turbofan engines can run for tens of thousands of hours between failures. By 2007, something called ETOPS 330 got approved. The key number is 330. That's 330 minutes, or 5.5 hours, that a twin-engine plane can fly from the nearest suitable airport. Think about what this means. A Boeing 787 with just 2 engines can now handle routes that used to require 4-engine monsters like the 747 or A380. Twin-engine planes are lighter, burn less fuel, cost less to maintain, and are cheaper to operate. This didn't just change American aviation, it basically destroyed the A380's entire business case. But here's what gets me. Airbus saw this coming. They had their own twin-engine long-range planes, the A330 and later the 350. So why did they still blow $25 billion developing the A380? The answer has everything to do with one airline that saw the world completely differently: Emirates. In 2001, Emirates dropped a massive order, a staggering 58 A380s with an option for 90 more. This was before the thing had even flown. It was the biggest aircraft order in history at the time. Why would they bet so big on an unproven plane? It's all about geography, and Emirates had geography figured out perfectly. Dubai sits at this incredible sweet spot between Europe, Asia, and Africa. It's within 8 hours of flying time for about 2/3 of the world's population. Emirates built their entire strategy around bringing passengers from everywhere to Dubai, then redistributing them everywhere else. The A380 was perfect for this. Massive capacity for hub-to-hub routes, premium amenities that justified charging top dollar, range to reach practically anywhere from Dubai. But here's the fundamental problem. Airbus designed the A380 around Emirates' geography, not American geography. America's spread out. We've got 50 cities with over 1 million people scattered across a massive continent. Emirates has one hub serving the world. American Airlines need dozens of hubs serving a huge domestic market, plus international routes. Completely different operational requirements. So how much did this miscalculation cost Airbus? The A380 program, as we said before, cost roughly $25 billion. To break even, they needed to sell approximately 420 aircraft. What was the final count when they shut down production, you ask? Just 251 aircraft. That is a massive financial loss. But here's where it gets really interesting. If just one major US airline had ordered A380s, say 50 planes, the whole program probably would have worked. American Airlines operates over 950 aircraft. 50 A380s would be only about 5% of their fleet. Delta operates 900 plus aircraft. United's got 800 plus. Any one of them could have single-handedly made the A380 program profitable. So why didn't they? This answer takes us back to 1978 when America deregulated its airline industry. Before that, routes and prices were controlled by the government. Airlines competed on service, not price. After deregulation, anyone could fly anywhere and charge whatever the market would bear. The competition went absolutely insane. This created something unique to American aviation. Passengers became incredibly price-sensitive. European and Middle Eastern airlines can charge premium prices because they don't face the same cutthroat competition. Emirates can fill A380s with passengers paying $2,000 for economy because there might be only one or two other airlines on that route. But American routes are brutal. New York to Los Angeles has 8 different airlines fighting for passengers. If American Airlines tries to charge premium prices for A380 luxury, JetBlue or Southwest will undercut them with cheaper flights on 737s. American passengers consistently chose cheap tickets over spacious cabins, and cheap tickets require efficient planes, not necessarily big planes. The A380 was designed for a world of regulated airlines and captive passengers. American deregulation killed that world 30 years before the A380 even flew. But let's say US airlines had actually wanted A380s. Could they even operate them? Most major US airports can technically handle them. JFK, LAX, Miami, Chicago, they've all got runways long and strong enough. But the problem isn't runways, it's gates. An A380 needs special gates with dual-level boarding bridges to handle both decks. JFK has 4 of these gates. LAX has 6. Chicago O'Hare has 2. Compare that to a Boeing 737, which can park at any gate at any airport. Now here's the operational math that really killed it. Gate utilization. A 737 can land, everyone deplanes, they clean and fuel it. New passengers board, and it's back in the air in about 45 minutes. An A380, you're looking at a minimum of 2 hours, often closer to 3 hours. During peak travel times, that one A380 gate could have handled 4 different 737 flights, potentially moving more total passengers with way more schedule flexibility. American airports are built around quick turnarounds and high frequency. The A380 needed exactly the opposite. While Airbus was building bigger, Boeing made a completely different bet with the 787 Dreamliner. Instead of supersizing the 747, they went smaller and more efficient. The 787 was designed specifically for point-to-point routes. Boeing's pitch was simple. People want to get from where they are to where they want to be with as few stops as possible. The 787 could fly from secondary American cities directly to international destinations. Portland to Reykjavik, Austin to Amsterdam. These routes would never work with an A380, but they work fantastically with a 250-seat 787 Dreamliner. The sales numbers tell the whole story. Boeing has sold over 1,500 Dreamliners. Airbus managed selling just 251 A380s before shutting down production. But here's the positive thing. Airbus wasn't completely wrong. They just built the right plane for the wrong market. The A380 succeeded in precisely 3 places: Dubai, Singapore, and Qatar. Why? They're small countries with single major hubs that need to move massive numbers of passengers through limited airport infrastructure. Dubai International is basically one giant connecting hub. Almost every passenger is just passing through. The A380's high capacity is perfect for this. But American airports operate fundamentally differently. Even major hubs like Atlanta or Chicago serve enormous local populations. Maybe 60% of passengers are connecting, but 40% actually live there and are starting or ending their trips. When Airbus launched the A380, they were projecting 1,200 sales over 20 years. They were counting on American orders to make it work. Final tally, 251 total aircraft. Emirates bought 123, nearly half of all A380s ever made. Singapore Airlines took 24. Lufthansa grabbed 14. Everyone else split small orders. By 2018, Airbus was building maybe 8 A380s per year. They needed at least 30 annual deliveries just to break even on production costs. The program that was supposed to challenge Boeing's dominance instead proved that American Airlines understood their own market better than European engineers did. Today, those same American airlines are using 787s and A350s to open routes the A380s never could have served. Direct flights from secondary cities to international destinations that wouldn't generate enough demand for 800 seats, but work perfectly with 250. The A380 was engineered for a world of mega hubs and patient passengers. American Airlines built their networks around impatient passengers who'd rather pay extra for convenience. American Airlines figured out something profound. In modern aviation, being everywhere beats being enormous. The A380 needed 850 passengers all going to the same place at the same time. American routes needed flexibility and frequency. So while Emirates built their brand around double-decker luxury, American Airlines chose smaller planes that could fly anywhere, anytime. That's why you don't see A380s in America, and why you probably never will.